But yet in it shall be a tenth, and it shall return, and shall be eaten as a tale tree, and as an oak whose substance is in them. When they cast their leaves, so the holy seed shall be the substance thereof.
The holy seed is the nation of Israel, because there's going to be a remnant of us that's going to be saved ultimately, all right? So that angel that came down, as you read down, was set to work on the minds of Israel to blind them. And this time, actually it started during the time of slavery, because prior to that, back in so-called Africa, Western Africa, we knew that we were Israelites. When we were brought over here against our wills to serve slavery under this damn devil, the Edomite, that's when the truth of who we were beaten out of us, man. That's why now in the last, 30 years or so, within that 30-year period, starting from the 70s, a little before that, on up into the 80s and the 90s, and now the so-called new millennium, now there's a lot of our people, millions of us that already know that we're Israelites. And there's millions of us waking up every day. And in that millions that's waking up, you have the elect among that, the special of the Most High. There's a special people within the special people. All right? Now I wanted to hit one more scripture, then we're going to close it on that. 2 Maccabees, the 5th chapter, and the 1st verse. Now when you read this scripture, if you saw the movie The Immortals, at the very last scene, they showed them Greek warriors fighting in the heavens. And that came right to mind. This scripture right here. Go ahead.
2 Maccabees 5:1.
Which proved that those Greek myths were written and conceived out of the minds of Jakes. And all those characters were all Jakes, because they'll tell you in a minute that Zeus is a black man. So if Zeus is a black man, those heroes that he set up, like Perseus, that was a myth, a Greek myth. That was his son. That's where they got the whole story of the Lord being a virgin, because it was Zeus that came down and popped Perseus' mother. So they took the Roman Catholic Church, took those Greek mythologies, or those Greek myths, and they made it, and they turned it into their own, made their own names. And then you got these idiots out here believing this crap. Go ahead.
2 Maccabees chapter 5 verse 1. About the same time Antiochus prepared his second voyage into Egypt. And then it happened that through all the city, for the space almost of 40 days, there were seen horsemen running in the air, in cloth of gold, and armed with lances like a band of soldiers, and troops of horsemen in array, encountering and running one against another, with shaking of shields and multitude of pikes, and drawing of swords, and casting of darts, and glittering of golden ornaments, and harness of all sorts. Wherefore every man prayed that that apparition might turn to good. Now
it was a vision, but people saw it. They looked up in the heavens, and they seen these angels on battle ready, with all type of swords and shields and shooting darts. Go ahead.
It says, now when there was gone forth a false rumor, as though Antiochus had been dead, Jason took at the least 1,000 men, and suddenly made an assault upon the city, and they that were upon the walls being but put back, and the city at length taken, Menelaus fled into the castle. But Jason slew his own citizens without mercy, not considering that to get the day of them of his own nation would be a most unhappy day for him. But thinking they had been his enemy and not his countrymen, when he conquered, howbeit for all this he obtained not the principality, but at the last received shame for the reward of his treason, and fled again into the country of the Ammonites. In the end, therefore, he had an unhappy return, being accused before Aretas, the king of the Arabians, fleeing from city to city, pursued of all men, hated as a forsaker of the laws, and being had an abomination as an open enemy of his country and countrymen, he was cast out into Egypt. Thus he that had driven many out of their country perished in a strange land, retiring to the Lacedaemonians. And
right, the Lacedaemonians, by the way, is are the Israelites. Those were the Sparta. Now, during this period of time, this is when Israel was mingled among the Greeks, because the Greeks came into our land. So it was Israel that wrote these stories. Now, I was just thinking about it. You read the first couple of verses about the apparition up in the heavens for 40 days, fighting in the sky and swinging their lances and shooting darts and so forth. Now, that story of, I forget the guy's name. The bad guy was Minotauro. Minotauro was the guy with the bull's head, and I forget the other guy's name, the main character. And Zeus was in that movie. Huh? Theseus was his name, if I'm saying it correctly. Well, anyway, they actually, the reason why they wrote that, because they actually saw it. They actually saw UFOs in the sky. They actually saw angels in the sky. Where do you think they got them characters from, man? But these were actually ships in the sky of angels coming down. And there's many accounts of Alexander and Alexander's men seeing UFOs, seeing so-called ships, chariots of the Most High. So, you know, this is happening right now as we speak. These Edomites and the Air Force, they're watching the skies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And they're recording, they're documenting all of these UFO sightings. And they know the Most High going to come back in a so-called UFO. And they know that they're going into slavery. So with that, I'm going to say shalom.
Declassified U.S. government documents and witness testimony from former or retired U.S. military personnel confirm beyond any doubt the reality of ongoing UFO incursions at nuclear weapons sites. When I say UFO, the witnesses have described these craft as disc-shaped or cylindrical-shaped or spherical. These objects are capable of both hovering and high-velocity flight, usually completely silently. Over the past 37 years, I have personally located and interviewed more than 120 of these former or retired military personnel, all of whom report UFO incidents at one or more of the following locations: nuclear missile sites, nuclear weapons storage areas, and nuclear weapons test sites in Nevada and the Pacific during the era of atomic atmospheric testing.
Sometime in the evening hours on March 24th, I received a call from one of my topside guards, the flight security controller, stating that they had been observing strange lights in the sky, making odd maneuvers, and wanted to report it. I thought it was kind of a strange report, but I took it seriously. You have to understand we were protecting nuclear weapons, and the reports we generally got were very professional. At any rate, I kind of dismissed the call. He called back about 5 minutes later. This time he was screaming into the phone saying they're looking at an object, a red glowing object hovering just above our front gate.
Right above us, there's a huge white thing, pulsating light above us, and I had to call them to make sure I wasn't seeing anything. Upon prodding, he told us it was shaped like a fat cigar. I think he said a pregnant cigar. White pulsating light. Between the pulsations, he saw red and blue lights. It was silent because I prodded him saying, is it some sort of helicopter? He said, no, it's very silent. We're talking to him for several minutes, and he says it's starting to move away along our access road.
I believe, these gentlemen believe, that this planet is being visited by beings from another world who, for whatever reason, have taken an interest in the nuclear arms race which began at the end of World War II. Regarding the missile shutdown incidents, my opinion, their opinion, is that whoever are aboard these craft are sending a signal to both Washington and Moscow, among others, that we are playing with fire, that the possession and threatened use of nuclear weapons potentially threatens the human race and the integrity of the planetary environment. Declassified U.S. government documents